the juggernaut matchup of the weekend, baby. I've been looking forward to this one for weeks, frankly, since the season kicked off. Georgia and
Oh, man.
Alabama. Oh my God, I can feel it in my bones now. Yeah, super excited just to like as a fan of the game, just to tune into this one. I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup. I don't know if you want to. We might tease, what maybe you're on. Maybe you hold that off until later, Seth. So maybe don't give that away just quite yet here. But
Sure.
yeah. So we at face value, our model's not showing any value on either side of this. We make the number one market open at about a 1.5, and depending on where you look, there's been some, I'll just call it interesting movement. It's kind of bobbed and weaved, seesawed a little bit. There's some 2.5s and some 2s out there in the market now. So would be shocked, absolutely floored if it makes it through a 3. I don't think it will. I think it has no chance. But
No.
I want to, so similar to what I said about in the OK State, Kansas State discussion, is that when I was thinking of these two teams and breaking down their data, on a per play basis, neither of these teams really stood out from an offensive perspective to me. I thought they were going to be ranked higher than they actually are or have been to date. So my thought or my angle on this one, from a betting perspective, if we're not, using the model to bet it, is how hard are points going to be to come by in this one? And is there a play? Is there an angle we could look at about maybe, taking an under? Because that's, to me, I'm thinking that might be the play for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting take. I don't disagree with it. These teams are good. Let's just start kind of going through them. So when we look at Georgia's team and where they are offensively, we're talking about the 29th overall pass EPA team, but the 60th rush EPA team. So they have a lot to be desired rushing the ball. Alabama, on the other hand, is even more interesting to me. 10th passing EPA team, 18th rush EPA team. Now, when you're talking about the defensive side of the ball, these teams are really good. Alabama, we're talking about the 12th pass defense and the 22nd rush. Georgia, we're talking about the 5th pass defense and the 37th rushing defense. So, I mean, these teams are good. The thing that I'm concerned about here is with Georgia, and I'll tell you why. Georgia right now, pass offense 27th. We talked about it. Alabama's 12th against the pass. I also went back and looked. We get a lot of we've talked a little bit about it on here. Who have these teams played? Georgia's played a Kentucky team in the SEC. I don't think Alabama's played an SEC team. They ended up playing Wisconsin, a Big Ten team. But if we actually look at the adjusted EPA per play on the offense, Alabama's the 8th overall offense and Georgia's 17th. So again, another data point that Georgia falls a little bit behind Alabama. But where I'm concerned here is Georgia throwing the ball. We talked about Alabama 12th against the pass, Georgia's the 27th passing offense, but Georgia is the 60th rushing offense. Alabama is the 22nd rushing defense. Alabama can do both passing and throwing, and right now their run rate over expected is 34th in the nation. They're running the ball higher than an average team, but yet they're 10th in the nation throwing the ball. So if you shut the run game down, aren't they just going to kill you through the air? And if you don't shut the rushing game down, are they just going to be throwing the ball? So that's where I'm a little concerned here. What is Georgia's game plan? Because defensively, I agree with you. Both of these teams are good, and they're good, against the pass, against the rush.
Yep.
But for the game plan here, I feel like Alabama has a lot more optionality to figure out what is going to work in this game, or at least have some variability in their game plan, where I feel like Georgia's either got to try to make this game work through the air or they're fucked.
Yeah. And further to that point too, I think you said it, I think almost perfectly. Like both of these teams are going to have to try to figure out what's going to work because of how good the other team is defensively. And I think one thing that I'm thinking about too, and if you're a top-down bettor, there's value screaming all over this. DraftKings has a first half total of 24.5. Rest of the market's at 23.5. So if you want to think about, to your point, Seth, what the game plan is for both of these teams, I'm less convinced that either one of them will come out the gate swinging, so to speak. This is probably going to be more of a chess match and more of like, hey, all right, tit for tat, throw a punch, rope a dope, let's see what's going to work type of thing. And but I could see it being a situation where you see a second half, maybe quote unquote offensive explosion, if you will, from either side. But first half, I don't know. I really like that under 24 and a half. So that also might be something
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy. I agree with you in the game plan. I mean, we've seen a lot of that from these two teams, and they've played a lot. They've played each other a lot, especially in the last couple of years. I mean, it's hard to see a blowout here. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just concerned on what Georgia's game plan is if they cannot throw the ball. The one thing here is I was really shocked to see that the adjusted EPA was in favor of Alabama because Georgia's played Clemson and then they've had to play the SEC team in Kentucky and they didn't have a great time there. But they've already kind of got those, I would say, jitters out, like the classic Georgia game every year where they barely eke out a road SEC win. But I mean, that's not a slight on Georgia. The SEC is tough to win week in and week out, especially on the road. So I wonder if that helps here where they're not going to get down. They're not going to get, concerned if it's 3-and-out and punt, 3-and-out and punt. And like the game is still closed. They're not going to freak out because they've kind of already been through this. The first half, to your point, in that Clemson game was very much like this. They didn't pull away until that second half. So I think you're spot on with the first half under. I could definitely see that. I have a play in this game later. We're going to talk about I think there is value in this game personally.
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think in the comments though. Potentially the game of the year, potentially. So let us know in the comments
until they maybe play again in the SEC championship game.
Okay, maybe fair. Potential part 1 of game of the year, series of the year, maybe. But let us know in the comments what you think. Who takes round 1 between Bama and Georgia? It should be a massive one. While you're making the comments, please don't also forget to hit the like button on the video. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Helps us out tremendously. Again, we're here every week doing these matchups and breakdowns for you guys. So hopefully you find value in them as well.